Welcome back to the PCT News Network. Joining us today is Dr. Harold Harlan, and we're going to be discussing some bed bugs. Thanks for joining us today. Bed bugs obviously are a big issue with PCOs today, and they are generating a lot of business. What do PCOs need to be aware of as they get into this service sector that they may not encounter with other pests?
Well, first of all, there's a psychological problem. People have a misconception that bed bugs are associated with filth or with unsanitary conditions, and that's not true. Another thing is that there's a stigma to having bed bugs. So they need to be aware that their customers may not be looking at this as a problem that needs to be taken care of right away. They certainly wouldn't want the information published that they have them.
How is this impacting what PCOs are doing in terms of technician training, not only from a technical standpoint, but how they're communicating and interacting with customers?
I think it's been difficult for them to learn how to deal with situations of multiple housing units and low-income housing situations, because the customer they're dealing with may have different interests than the victims of the biting. It complicates things. You have to first determine where the problem is, and second, determine how you can actually deal with it.
What are some common mistakes that PCOs make when coming into an account and trying to eliminate and get rid of the bed bugs?
One thing that that's becoming a bit of a problem is expecting the customer to do a lot for themselves when the customers, even though they should, don't have the resources to do all the things that are being suggested, and the customer doesn't quite know how to do that. So there's an educational gap on the part of the customers.
And how can a technician who's in front of a customer, how can they handle that?
They can refer them back to the public health people who support that area, that city, and they can refer them back to their own management, because the management people are really responsible for getting information out to all of their residents.
Now, is it true that you've tasted a bed bug?
Yes, many times.
And is it like chicken?
It's a little squishier, and depending on how old the blood is in it, it can be either slightly salty at first, and if it's just fed, it's nice and warm. But generally, it tastes a little bit tarry and a little bit tart after it's not fed for a while.
Well, thank you, Harold. Appreciate you joining us today. And stay tuned to the PCT News Network for more coverage of the news and information impacting the pest management industry.